Hey there, it's Jason. Welcome to the J. Rowe Show, and it's been a little while since I've checked in with you, and there's good reason for that because I've got a huge book launch coming up for my brand new book, Eternity with Hay House. That's going to be my next video, so stay tuned in a few days for that. I'm actually going to be showing you an unboxing video and making a huge announcement for the pre-sale of that book. But today, I want to discuss a subject that I originally had promised to do a YouTube video on a few months ago after I did a Snapchat discussion on this particular subject. If you're not following me on Snapchat yet, please do so. It's just my name, Jason Wrobel, W-R-O-B as in baby, E-L. But to get a little more serious for a moment, the thing that was, I guess, so hotly debated and hotly communicated about a few months ago on Snapchat was this idea of what causes us the most pain in life. What is the number one thing that we use to make ourselves miserable? And I want to talk about that right now. There's a lot of things that we can use as excuses or reasons why we get sad, we get miserable, we get unhappy in life. We don't feel acknowledged by our partners or our bosses or coworkers. The kids don't appreciate us. The traffic was bad. The check we were expecting was late. They didn't have the exact shade of taupe for the suits for your wedding. There's a million different reasons, okay? We don't need to get into that because they're all excuses. I want to go a little bit deeper, a layer deeper into this of these psychological reasons why so many of us find ourselves unhappy from day to day. And I really find that the seed of this, one of the foundations of this consistent misery is our incessant habit of comparison. And it's not just comparison of, oh, she's prettier than me, he's stronger than me, he's more rich than me, better car than me, on and on. It's really the specifics of how we leverage certain things in our human existence to create that misery. So I want to talk about numbers. Now you might be thinking, well, why are you getting into numbers? What do numbers have to do with feeling miserable in comparison? Well, they have everything to do with it. Because here's why. Numbers intrinsically are something that humanity has invented to signify the quantification of a thing, right? That's all they are. I have 3 fingers. There's 5 apples, there's 4 cars. We understand what counting means and what numbers can do. It's intrinsic to science and commerce and so many aspects of the system of culture we've created for humanity. But numbers aren't real. They're something we invented to try and signify as a symbol of a representation of something else. I want to make that very clear. Numbers are only real because we've attached a meaning to them. Things are completely innocuous. The symbol of the number 9, for instance, has no intrinsic meaning. It only has the meaning that we have assigned to that symbology. Does that make sense? Like any other symbol, like a cross or a swastika or anything that we use in symbology, the lines and the symbol itself is neutral until we assign a meaning to it. The part that we get slipped up on in life is when we start to assign our self-worth to numbers, to quantifying our self-worth. For example, I've met people with hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank who are kind of miserable human beings. They are, right? It's never enough for them. It's because for some reason they've attached this idea that their self-worth is not going to be fulfilled until they have $1 billion, okay? There's a number in their mind that they're not going to be good enough until they attain this thing. Whether it's a woman, how small your waist is, how big your breasts are. For students, oh, I have to get a 4.0. For guys, it's like, how much can you bench, bro? We're constantly enamored with this idea that numbers are a direct reflection of our own intrinsic self-worth, and it could be further from the truth. If we go down this slope of thinking that our self-worth, our personal value is tied to our net worth, is tied to the size of our waist, our breasts, our biceps, our bank accounts, on and on and on and on, it's never ending. Because when we're relying on these quantifications of the material world, this whole system that we've made up and agreed upon, it's never ending. Are you happy with $1 million? Are you happy with $100,000? Are you happy if $100 shows up on the sidewalk? What does it take to really create joy and sustainable happiness in one's life? Here's what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that we all find a way to move from this system of, as long as I quantify my value, I'll be happy when I get a certain number of whatever it is, and into discovering a system to establish a sense of self-worth that is not dependent on these externalities, especially numbers and money and measurements and all this other shit that doesn't really matter, okay? It has nothing to do with you as a being. Your intrinsic beingness as a soul, as a human creation, has nothing to do with this stuff, okay? The material world is great, it's a tool. Money is a tool. Good looks are a tool. A functioning car that's nice is a tool. These are things that allow us to do other things in life, to create other functions in life, okay? So what I'm proposing is that we create a system of values based on our own internal sense of self-worth. If we have goals that we've set for ourselves, if that's, say, to write a script in the next 3 months, right? It's not this attachment of, oh, well then I have to sell the script for $1 million to a Hollywood studio. Maybe that's your aim and that's perfectly fine. But don't allow that to sabotage the intrinsic amazingness of the fact that you sat down and wrote a script. Or perhaps those incremental goals that you have every day of your life. I want to get a little bit healthier every day. How do I measure that? I want to get a little bit stronger every day. How do I measure that? But not allowing ourselves to use it as fuel to beat ourselves up when we don't attain these aims. Okay, because that's really where the trick is. If you have these aims and goals and dreams, which we all do, but not using it as a reason to be cruel to yourself. I feel like that's a habituation of our society right now, is being so hard on ourselves, so mean to ourselves. And I think there has to be a system of pride that is self-created and self-generated. This book has been a really amazing teacher for me. And it's been a teacher in the sense that when this new year started, I was freaking out. Like, I have to sell this number of books. It has to be a New York Times bestseller. But is that the reason I wrote the book in the first place? Is that the reason I spent 2.5 years of my life creating this so that I could give it to you and give it to the world? It's not because I have to sell 5 million books. Be nice. Not gonna lie, but I'm also not gonna let it ruin my life if I don't sell 5 million books. I'm not gonna let it ruin my life if I don't have a #1 New York Times bestseller. Those are aims, but I'm not tying those to my intrinsic self-worth, right? The fact that I spent and dedicated years of my life to creating something that I'm proud of, that I put my heart into, that I literally and figuratively bled for, no one can take that away. Doesn't matter the number of books sold, doesn't matter about the money, none of that matters. I have something that I've created into the world that was an execution of my highest creative vision, something that I poured all of myself into. And that system of creative self-approval, that system of intrinsic self-worth that's not externally motivated, I think is a lot more sustainable. So I'd love to hear from you and your perspective on this, on what motivates you, and in what ways can you create a system of value that's intrinsic rather than dependent on your outside circumstances and these numbers to define your self-worth. So that's about it for now. I appreciate all of you who are fans of mine on Snapchat for waiting so long for this video. It's taken a while to make, but I think it's an important conversation to have for our collective cultural happiness and satisfaction to define this for ourselves. So love to continue the conversation in the comment section below and on all of my social platforms. And again, stay tuned in a few short days for the big book announcement with Hay House. Thanks so much. Love you guys. See you soon.